Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So if you watched the last video about how I came to be an English major writer, and I've actually seen a few videos of people writing my old English papers or like my old writing. Let me know if you guys want that. I mean, some of it I do want to submit to places, and I'm not sure. I mean, I haven't edited a lot of this stuff, so some of it is really bad. I could actually probably read some of my old poetry, which is not the greatest. One of my best friends, she's a lot better at poetry, and she's been trying to work on a novel. I think she said she wanted to do children's books, and she was like, hey, can you like do the artwork for my children's book if I ever do it? And I'm like, yes. So sorry, side note. If you guys haven't watched my first video on this topic, I am deciding to do a journal type writing of my writing process, where I'm at with my novel. I have been writing a novel, and by have I mean it's been an idea for a very long time, and then I've been slowly kind of writing it here and there when I can, because I am in college, and when you're an English major you get a lot of essays. Who would have thought? So yeah, you get a lot of English papers, but with everything happening with the virus and we have to be social distancing and staying inside, what better time than to start actually writing this novel? A lot of my English classmates all have been working on some kind of novel when we were first in school, and I pretty much just want to get this out there. So yes, I have been working on a novel. I'm working on a novel. I don't have any publishers. I don't have an agent. I've just wanted to write this for a very long time, and I just want it out there. A lot of what I said in the original video, I completely forgot to say that. So because this is a journaling type video, and I did say that I never actually journaled before, like diary wise, and my therapist said like, yeah, you should write more. I actually used to kind of write a little bit like that, but I was one of those people who would dream journal. I wrote down almost every single one of my dreams when I was younger. Sometimes I still do that. I still write it every now and then, just because they make for really great stories. The weird stuff that happens in your dreams, and if you can remember it, it's very interesting. And I remember in my family, if we had a really bizarre dream, we would tell one another, and that's something that a lot of people actually do, which I didn't really realize. So I feel like, why not use that for stories? So I've done that a few times. I have been working on a novel, and I don't have a publisher, I don't have anything. I just want to get it out there. I just want it to happen. I just want to put it on the page so that it's not in my brain anymore, because I swear I think I'm losing bits of what I was gonna write to begin with when I was younger. So mind you, I came up with this idea when I was like 15, 16. So my mind was a little bit different back then than it is now. So I have actually changed a lot of the story over the years, and I still want to have elements of the original thing, but it just doesn't totally make sense. And here's the thing, I've been told that I word vomit on the page. What I mean by that is that I literally write everything that comes to mind. Sometimes my thoughts always aren't coherent on the page, but you get a sense of what's happening, and it's just not very organized. That's what happens in my brain. So that's the reason why a lot of my videos are probably incoherent and a little bit bizarre. And if you're wondering why it's edited really weird, it's because I don't go off of a script, and I just say a lot of random stuff every now and then. I go off on tangents. I'm a really big talker, which is why a lot of my videos go on for like an hour or so when I record them. And then you see them on the internet, and they're actually only 15 minutes long because I've edited so much of it. So we're gonna try not to do that in these videos. But for the most part, I have been working on this novel. It is a novel I've been trying to make for 7 years. I feel like that's a really horrible thing to say, because in your head you're probably thinking, what? You've been working on it for 7 years and it's not done? No, it's not done, okay? Don't come for me, okay? I swear. I'm going to do it, okay? Here's the thing, like, I am horrible when it comes to getting stuff done. Sometimes when I'm told to do something, I will do it. The thing is like, a lot of stuff happens in life. Case checkpoint, what's happening right now in the world, and it kind of makes you kind of put some stuff aside. So that's what's been happening with me with the writing. Like I said, I've been working on it for 7 years. This has been an idea for almost 7 years. Pretty much. It's been in the idea stages. And I know people are probably thinking, oh my god, like, you haven't finished it, it's been an idea for 7 years. Okay, do you think that the Great Wall of China was made in a day? No. And Rome wasn't built in a day, okay? I'm sorry. I'm only one human being. Nobody can think like me. Nobody can make a book like me in a day, okay? I'm sorry. It's a process. Is like we like to say. Anyway, so I'm probably all over the place, but anyway, so basically I had this idea 7 years ago, around 2015-ish, maybe, probably actually before then, yeah, 2013, probably 2013 or 2012. I had this idea to create a novel that is kind of sci-fi meets fantasy, kind of mesh-ish. So as you guys know, I'm a really big fan of Cassandra Clare, so there are some inspiration from that. Originality is dead, so please don't tell me, oh, like, are you just copying every other writer? Originality is dead. If you become, if you go into school trying to be an artist or something, they will tell you originality is dead. So this idea has been in my head since I was like 13. It was an idea for a good like 3 years. And I pretty much, like, I'm just gonna tell you what happened. So I pretty much wrote it down, this kind of synopsis, basically the backbone of the timeline. It was pretty much the timeline that I wrote down when I was like 13 or 14. For a good 3 years, I was like journaling stuff because I wanted to become a better writer. I was journaling about my day. I was writing about dreams and stuff like that. And so pretty much I just wrote down a timeline, like, this is what's gonna happen. There are gonna be a couple characters here, and there. Okay, come high school, I wrote like the first chapter in the first 4 or 5 years. I wrote like the first chapter and the prologue to the novel a couple years, like for the first 4 or 5 years, just because I wanted it to be perfect. And I am a stickler. If you're an artist, you probably go through the same thing that I go through, where you want things to be perfect. So being a writer, it's really hard sometimes for me to just like word vomit on everything and just get it out, because a huge part of me, even to this day, I still like struggle with this. I want to go back and edit so badly, okay? So badly. And this is a huge reason why I haven't finished this novel, is because I really just want to edit constantly, because I feel like it's never going to be perfect, and it probably never will be. And I've had so many people tell me, like, just write it, don't edit it. And a huge part of me is just like, I'm having this mental block, and I'm going to talk about this later. I'm having this mental block where I can't finish this book because I'm like, I need to make it perfect. So even to this day, I still don't think that the first chapter and the prologue is the best that it can be. Then in college came, I started revising those first 2 sections, the first chapter and the epilogue, and I added more to the not the epilogue, I wrote more to the prologue in college, my freshman year. And then slowly I started like writing the first 2 or 3 or 4 more chapters of the novel. My freshman and sophomore year of college, I started writing more. And you're probably wondering, well, if you were so busy, how did you write like 3 or 4 chapters? Let me tell you, when you have an 8 a.m. class with a huge, gigantic section of students that are just sitting there, it's 8 a.m. and you're trying to learn about psychology, and you're falling asleep, and you know you can't fall asleep because then you're gonna get called on, what's the best thing to do? You start writing your novel, and you don't pay attention, and you just record what they're saying so that you can stay awake. That's pretty much what I did. I wrote like the first 3 or 4 chapters, I want to say, just like while I was in psychology class at 8 a.m. in the morning, and like just like dozing off, and I'm like, what does so and so say? next. And I literally had a student sit next to me, and I think she was so bored that she was just like staring at my screen, and then she leans over and then she sees the title of the page, chapter da 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 da. I didn't put like a name, I just put like chapter 3 or something like that, and she's like, she goes to me and she's like, "You're working on a book?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah." And then she just pretty much looked at me and she was like, "That's really cool." And I was just like, "Yep, so cool. Love my life right now." So if you're a writer and you've ever done that before, yeah, I'm pretty sure I probably should have been taking notes, but I passed that class with a B. So don't tell me that I was in the wrong there, okay? I passed with B, okay? I can't say that about my other science classes, but I did pass with a B. Maybe I should just write more in these classes. Anyway, and that's really funny though, because every other science class that I do write in that class, I take notes and I never pay attention. So, you don't know. Anyway, so that happened, and then just like life has been happening. I had to move off campus. I think I talked about that in a video. I went through a relationship. There wasn't a really great relationship, and I didn't really write all that much. All I was writing was for classes and stuff like that, and doing plays and stuff. And I mean, I don't think that's a bad thing, because sometimes you do have to take time away from like big projects every now and then, because I was having the worst writer's block, okay? A lot of stuff happened. I wrote about other things, and I'm happy that I wrote about that stuff, because now I have inspiration to finish those, revise them, and then submit them to places. I did work on this a little bit in the past like couple of months, and here's the thing, the reason why I had such big writer's block, and I don't know if anybody has ever experienced this, but for me, there are two kinds of writers. There are people who write just straight through the whole entire novel. They know how it's gonna end, they know whatever. I know how my story is gonna end. I don't know how I don't know how many pages are gonna take to get to that end. We don't know. It might be a 1-part story. It might be 6 more books with maybe some spin-offs. I don't know. So basically, I know where it starts and I know where it ends, and I know the beginning and stuff like that. I do know what I want it to be about. I know the basis, and the issue is like I've waited so long, my mind has changed, and I want to write things differently. So a huge part of me wants to go back and revise. That was an issue. The other issue too was the fact that I'm not the type of person that like writes straight through. I have to skip around. My brain just thinks that way. And a huge part of me, I know which huge major scenes I want to write about first before everything else. And I want to get those on the page. So for a long time I was like, well, maybe I should just write it through. I should just write it from beginning to end, no stops, no skipping around. And every single time I would do that, I had so many bad instances of writer's block over the years because of this, because I'm not the type of person who likes to stay in one section. I've even noticed this within my own writing for essays and other projects, where I don't like to just write from middle to end. I tend to skip around and then I'll reorganize it. I know sometimes some people are like, oh, well, then it's not going to be organized and things like that. It's just the way my brain works. I don't know. It's wired differently than yours is. So who's really right here in the situation? But anyway, so yeah, and for me, ever since I started skipping around, I've had a lot more creative freedom to write stuff. I've written sections that I never thought I would write for this story, and they have come out very, very great. I've submitted 2 sections of this novel to my writing classes, 2 different chapters, and tons of people are just like, oh my god, I love this. Like, this is amazing. I'm not trying to boast or anything like that, but I kind of feel like one of my professors, she kind of just doesn't like me, because every time she like reads sections from my novel, she's just like, yeah, it's like, it reminds me of the Hunger Games, and she just like says it in this weird tone where I'm just like, do you not like the Hunger Games? Do you not like my writing? Do you not like me? And that's just where my mind goes. So anyway, so yeah, so with that being said, I mean, like, I know I should write this and I really want to write it. I've had like people look at it, and like I literally submitted a chapter to one of my I believe my sophomore English class, and I had a person who was like, oh my god, this line, it's like the most beautiful line I've ever read. And then she was just like, it's so crazy how you made this line so like beautiful. And she's like, I feel like you were going for this and this and this. And in my head, I'm like, my response to her was like, oh yeah, like totally, yeah, I agree with you. And then in my head, I'm just like, I didn't really care about writing that section, but okay. Like, as long as you found meaning through it, okay. You'd be surprised how many times I write stuff and then people are just kind of like, it seems like you're like trying to go for this and this and this and this, and it's so moving, and you put your characters in these situations and this and this and this, and I'm like, I wonder if it's because of my, like, is this like representing me in some way? Am I subconsciously writing this and not realizing it? Probably. So who knows? But not to get off track, but yeah, I've been working on this for a while now, and we're gonna get talking about some things about this novel. I don't want to go into too much detail. A huge part of me just wants to, because when you've been thinking about your characters and your story arc for 7 years, you kind of want to tell people about it. Even some of my closest friends don't even know the whole entire story of what's gonna happen. Like, I already knew the ending before I even wrote the beginning. That's how like in-depth I knew I wanted this book to be. So let's just talk about where I am at right now. So this novel is gonna be, like I said, kind of fiction. It's gonna be fiction for sure. It's a fiction novel. It's probably gonna, you know, reflect my life in some way, because there are some characters that do die. One of my fortes when I was younger is that I literally told somebody, I'm like, you can't write a novel without killing somebody. I'm like, I literally told that to somebody, and then they're like, you can, you don't have to kill anybody. And I'm just like, no, because it won't be authentic enough. Anyways, so yeah, like I said, I've been having writer's block because of the whole, you know, not being able to jump around and skip around. And the reason why I had writer's block was when I tried to do it from like beginning to end, I would be I think it was like the third chapter. Literally my third chapter to this day sounds horrible, because when I was writing it, I was basically writing it as if it was a synopsis, and I was writing just background information, like so and so goes to this school, has this many friends. It was basically like a play-by-play of the background of what was gonna like set up the story. And I was just like, this just doesn't sound right, and I'm not into it. And I knew why, because I was like, I don't want to write this chapter, I want to write a different chapter. And then I started getting writer's block because I was like, I don't know how to write this chapter, and I don't know how to finish these lines. I don't even know what the heck they would say in this situation. So yeah, don't do that. If you're forcing yourself to do something, just don't do it. Another thing that's really been like helping me motivate to write more is a novel, well, a short story collection that I wrote, that I read for one of my English classes, and it was by Octavia Butler. And she had like a section in her book that said like, if you want to be a writer, a successful writer, you should write every single day. And I'm like, okay, I need to write every single day, but the only way I can do that is if I jump around. So big brain, maybe we should stop doing what we're doing and start doing what we should be doing. So a mixture of sci-fi and fantasy colliding into one. And I'm not the smartest person, but I'm gonna try to like be like scientific with this book, but also fantastical. And like, there may or may not be some additions of angels and demons in this book, because your girl was very inspired by a couple of books back in the day. They're not copying, okay? They're not copying. It's just inspiration. Originality is dead, okay? I'm sorry to tell you, everybody, but I was told this when I was young too. So literally one of my close friends, she actually looked at this, and the first thing she told me ever when she read the first like chapter or so, and when I told her what it was about, what the story would be about, in and of a nutshell, the first thing she told me, because I told her, I'm like, I don't want it to be too much like these other books, like, you know, the books that we've been reading since we were young. And she's like, for some weird reason, this book reminds me of Wall-E. And my mind was just like, how? Because there's no robots in my book. I mean, there is like not animatronics, but like technological advances, but there are robots. And she was just like, yeah, it just reminds me of Wall-E. And I'm like, why? And she's just like, I don't know, it just kind of sounds like Wall-E. And I'm like, okay. But so I have really like had a lot of like ideas for this book for a very, very long time. So much so that I had a secret Pinterest account, and I still have a secret Pinterest account to this day, with like just a bunch of like, here, I'll probably like throw it up somewhere, like nature scenes and tech advances and like dresses and clothing. Like I went full like blown in with this. I did a lot of research on, because there is some mythology, I guess you would say. I did say that there is like some kind of like angel demon type of stuff. So I went into old mythology, looked up a bunch of different old languages, and then found different religious figures and like angel figures and demons, and I went wholeheartedly into this to the point where I went down the rabbit hole of research. So it's very hard not to get out of that rabbit hole sometimes, because you will get sucked into it. The internet is a very scary place, okay? But so far, how many chapters? I have 70 pages done to this day, and my goal is I want to finish this book by the end of the year. And I mean finish it, like not even like rough draft. I want it to be at least like maybe 3 or 4 rough drafts in. So yeah, I have 70 pages, and I can't remember how many chapters I have. Let's see. I have 70 pages, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7 chapters, supposedly. They some thick chapters, apparently. I do think that maybe like around 1,000 count of pages, maybe, for it. I don't think it's gonna be a standalone book, guys. Like, I really don't. I don't see it being standalone, and I don't really know if it would be a 2-part book, because I kind of feel like 2-part books are just kind of like, those are just meant for contemporary. I don't know. It might be a trilogy. I don't know yet. So it's an interesting story of how it came to be, and it was actually based off of a dream that I had, like a couple of dreams that I've had, and it's I want to say so much, but I can't, and I don't know how, because I'm such a blabbermouth. But let's see, what else can I tell you guys about it? I have a really rough draft of it. And so far I have chapter 1, 2, the prologue down, and I believe the 4th, and then I have a middle chapter, which is literally called the middle part. And then there's a chapter called Trapped, which you can, I don't, maybe, I feel like we're all trapped right now, so take that as you will. It's called Trapped. And then I have another chapter which is called the mob part, so take that as you will. And there's literally nothing written there. It's just the mob part. That's all that it says right there. But yeah, I mean, like, I really want to write this for a long time on it, and I'm so proud that I got up to 70 pages thus far. A lot of my friends have always, like, a couple of my friends are like, hey, have you worked on it? Are you working on it? And I'm like, yeah, I'm working on it. It's a process. I don't want it to be another 7 years down the line that it finally comes out. I mean, I think I've heard like a couple of actually really well-known authors, their books didn't come out for like 10 years. And that is a long time. And I want mine out very, very soon. And I feel like right now is like the best time to do it, just because I have nothing else to do other than a couple of like classes, and it's just it's an art class and physical. I'm trying to think what I can tell you guys. It is dystopian. It's dystopian in the future. And there are some like hidden things that I put in the novel, because I kind of like, it's supposed to be like more of like a journey type story, and I kind of wanted it to be like kind of mysterious a little bit, so I wanted to have like elements of mysterious things. So some of the names are a little bit of play on words, but they're not like the main characters' names. Like it's not like Rysand or something like that, like a really, really crazy name. It's mostly like other characters that are a little bit of importance but not main characters, but they're a little bit of play on words. Even like the towns and the cities are a little bit of a play on words. Actually, originally, and this isn't gonna be in the book because I actually changed this idea and I feel like I should talk about it. Originally, the book was more kind of similar to Divergent, where I did have them in sections and like separated. And there is kind of some of that like kind of almost segregation amongst the people, but it's not like bias. It's just kind of just that they're just segregated, and it doesn't really have anything to do with like the overarching story. It's just kind of like the setting, I guess. But yeah, they used to be like called like kind of almost like factions, but I completely changed that idea and I scrapped it because I was like, this is really stupid. And like the names that came out for them, it was really, really stupid because like at the time I was really young and I didn't know certain meanings of certain words, and now I'm just like, yeah, I probably shouldn't name it that because it's just stupid. Anyway, so but it's a lot of what I've written is mostly like parts that I've wanted to write for a very, very long time. I don't think I should talk about character names. There is, okay, how about we'll do genders. So there is a female protagonist. She is pretty much the main character. And she's a fireball. Let's put it that way. She's like a real like tough cookie type person, like just the opposite of me. Like and she is fairly young. I literally have character charts of almost every single character, which is kind of crazy because I remember I did have a couple of professors tell us, like, if you're gonna do a novel or write a story, to do character charts. And I kid you not, I spent a whole entire year just like filling out character charts for every single character. And it does help, but not when you're trying to write a novel. At least not when you're writing the novel. Like, do that before you start writing the actual novel. I could tell you about their personality. Apparently, I didn't know that I wrote down about her personality. She's outgoing, feisty, reliable, a problem solver, speaks her mind, opinionated, somewhat of a hothead at times. Probably all the times. Cocky, sarcastic, thoughtful, a bit of a daredevil. So just like think of Angelina Jolie in Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Like, she's that person. She does have a family. She has a couple of relatives actually, and I don't really want to talk about them completely, but her family is involved. And then apparently I also wrote down the interests. Her interests are reading, athletics, swimming, running, and socializing with friends. Pretty much all the stuff that I'm not into other than the reading. And then there is love interests. Take that term as you will, because I'm not going any further than that. And no, it's not a love triangle, okay? It's not a love triangle, okay? I, like, a lot of times, like, when I was first writing this book, I was like, should I have a love triangle? I'm like, everybody's having a love triangle right now, but are people gonna want a love triangle? And I'm like, but I can't do the single like relationship, but at this point it's changed completely. I don't even know what the fuck it is at this point. It's a free-for-all. Okay, there are relationships. I'm not gonna say what happens with those relationships. There are relationships. Okay. There are a couple of guy characters, which is surprising that I've realized I've written a lot of guy character. This is a problem that I've been writing in this novel, and I don't know if anybody else has ever had this experience. I feel like I'm compensating for the fact that like I'm not a guy, so I'm writing a lot of guy characters in this novel, and there aren't that many female characters, and the majority of the female characters are all adult women, and I feel like that just says something about me. I don't know. So I'm just a random person in this lonely world. Anyway, so this guy, he's also around the same age as her. He's very scientific and mathematical. He's cynical. I was like, does that say single or cynical? I didn't know if that's what I meant. He's a logical thinker, he's a planner, a thinker, and symptomatic. I don't know what the heck I meant by that. He's also level-headed. His parents are on the higher up side, apparently, is what I wrote. And let's see, he likes doing math problems, apparently, critical thinking of politics, and critical thinking of science. I wrote this a long time ago, so I don't really know what I meant by any of this stuff. Let's see what else I did. We're just gonna go and look through all this. And then there's another guy, and he's around the same age as them. And let's see, his personality I did not write, apparently. I didn't write his hobbies or his motivation. What was his motivation? Yeah, so a lot of these characters I didn't actually like write down their name, like their everything. I just had a flowchart. I guess I can like mention like first and last initials. For the main character, she has 3. Actually no, she has 2. RR are her initials, and then one of the guys who is also a major character, if I can actually pick it up, that'd be great. His initials are NC. And then another character, his initials, oh no, another character, her initials are SR. And then she's also a major character. She's the mother of the main character. Let's see, I haven't went too far. Oh, another character, and he's a main character too, is AC. NC and AC. And then the main character's father, her initials, not her initials, his initials are, I have no idea. I have a lot of random names on here. Those 3 are pretty much like the main characters. And I'm not gonna say any more than that on their names. I like, a huge part of me like just wants to like come out like, this is their name and this is what's happening and this and this and this, but like I haven't like published this book or finished writing it. And not to say that I don't think anybody's gonna steal my ideas, but a lot of people that I know who have done videos like this don't really like talk about that until like later on, so I don't know. I have tons of like not fan art, but artwork of these characters and what they're gonna look like. And it's just a bunch of like ideas for clothing, even like Pinterest ideas. And I'm not really sure if I should talk about that in this video or in another video, because I do have a whole like Pinterest like works of art that I've wanted to like just show for so long, and all of it is just inspirational. And yeah, I mean, like, I don't know what else to like talk about. I mean, like, I've written 70 chapters, not 70 chapters, 70 pages and like 7 chapters. About, that might be a little bit off. There might be a few more chapters than what's on there. And let's see. I'm gonna give you guys the word count. So as of today, May 23rd, 2020, wow, that sounds really weird to say. There are, and it's so interesting because I officially like put like the title page on this novel, and it just like it takes up a whole page. Come on, 70 pages, let's do it. Another chapter in there. I did not see that. I'll give you guys the actual account, like the number count of how many words I've done and how many pages I've had. And also I have tried doing NaNoWRIMO, but I always forget to do it every year. And I just feel like writing your novel on NaNoWRIMO, like the actual website, is kind of a bit of a challenge to do. So let's get going. Move it, move it, move it. Anyway, so let's see, where like my goal by the end of this is that at least by like around August, I do like, I want for this month, I at least want at least 100 more words, like maybe like 2 or 3 more chapters I want to do. I am gonna start actually writing more about this after I'm done with this video. And I really like, I want this thing to be finished within the next year or so. I really do. I feel like I've just wasted so much time not working on it, and not to say that I'm lazy, it's just like I really have to be motivated to do something. And you do not know how many times I felt like this story isn't gonna be good enough. A lot of times, a lot of my pieces of work, I always feel like it's never going to be good enough. And I have people who are in my classes that are like, oh my god, I love your story. Like, your story is so different and unique, and I like the story that it tells. And I think it's just because subconsciously I feel like I'm going to fail. And I feel like I'm just a bad writer, so I'm always afraid that this is never going to be good enough. But I literally just have to write it at this point. And even a few times I've even thought about, like, I don't even care if anybody ever sees this novel ever. I just want to write it, and I don't care if it ever gets published. I just want it to happen and just be an existing thing, even if it's just on my laptop. So tools, word count. There are officially okay, that's a lot of words. There are officially 2,200 wait 22, sorry, I'm miscounting the amount of words that are on here. There are 22,168 words on here out of the 2,276. No, out of the 22,007. 100. Let me reiterate. There are officially, and originally I wanted to write at least like 1,000 pages, maybe. There are officially 22,168 words that I've written so far, out of the 22,076 words. They're in total on the pages. Yeah, and there are so many pages. Jesus. I'm surprised I've written them. Yeah, that is a lot. Okay, and then I do a lot of my stuff on Google Docs. And my writing process, like I said, it's like all over the place. I do have like background, like spreadsheets of like background information and like character sheets and stuff like that. And I can actually like put a link or something like that if you guys want to see like how to do a character sheet, or do like timelines and stuff like that. I can do that if you want. But let's see how many chapters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are actually 10 chapters that I've written, and I'm pretty sure a couple of these, actually there's probably 11. Yeah, there's 11 chapters. There are 11 chapters that I've done, and I've done 11 chapters so far. I'm so proud, but a lot of the stuff that I've written here might not actually like go in the first novel. Like I said, I don't think this is gonna be a first novel. I don't think it's gonna be a solo novel. So I'm just kind of like writing this all as if it's in one section. I don't know where it's gonna go. I don't know how many books there are gonna be. I don't know how many chapters. I don't even know how many pages. When I'm done, and then we'll see what goes from there. So man of action, woman of action. But I just want to get it on the page. I really don't know if it will ever be published, or if it doesn't matter to me. I just want it to be a real thing, and if you guys get to read it one day, that would be really cool, you know. And I think one of the huge things why I wanted to write this was because I really wanted to inspire other people to want to achieve their dreams and their goals. Like I said, I was really broken down a long time ago, and I didn't really have a lot of things that were helpful in my life, and books were a comfort. And I was inspired to become an English major and to want to do library science, all because I picked up Clockwork Angel. And to me, that was such a big inspiration, and it's shaped my life to this day. And I feel like if I could just like create some kind of artwork or some kind of novel or storytelling and inspire other people to do the same and, you know, achieve your goal, then I feel like I did my part, and I did good in the world, and I left a mark, and I inspired other people, because to me that was like a really big inspiration for a majority of my life. So for the past 7 years. So it's been a really crazy experience, and I'm looking at this and I don't even remember what I wrote. So like a huge part of me, like every time I look at this, I'm like, what did I write? That's another reason why I don't always write all the time, is because I always forget what I wrote, and I don't want to reiterate myself, because sometimes I do that. So I feel like I've seen a few other writers. I know one particular writer on one YouTuber, Booktuber, Christine. She is one of my favorites, and I know she did something kind of similar to this, and she talked about like music that she listens to. And I have always been a big advocate of like listening to music while you write. I did it a lot in my first few years of college. Now I just kind of just listen to like whatever's on YouTube, and like sometimes that can be really distracting. So I really do listen to a lot of different music genres. But one playlist that I've actually dedicated to on Spotify, and it's actually labeled inspirational music. And let's see, let's pick a song that like I really have been listening to a lot. So there are two big songs that I've been listening to a lot on this playlist. And if you guys want to see concept art that I've been like pinning on Pinterest for like a long time, I can throw some up here eventually at some point, or I can throw some up on future videos like this, because I do want to make more videos like this. There's a song, one song that I've really been listening to a lot, and another song which I feel like they define pretty much my book in a nutshell, and they've really been like a big inspiration in the past couple of years. And they pretty much kind of almost sum up my book in a nutshell, and the music videos are really inspirational, which have inspired me to write more about this book, which is weird. Originality is dead. It's dead. It's dead. So one song which I recently fell in love with this artist. She's a really great artist, and she's really young, and I really love her music. And it's funny because I used to actually listen to her before I actually knew who she was. I don't know if anybody does this. Like, I'll listen to a lot of like songs and I'm like, I love this, and then people are like, oh, so you love so and so, and I'm like, who? They're like, the person that you're listening to, the song, and I'm like, oh, I don't really pay attention to the artist. I like the music. So one song that I've been really listening to a lot while I've been writing this novel is Are You Ready For It by Taylor Swift, and love that song. Very badass, like when I'm writing my main character. And then another song which I feel like this has to do with my own personal like demons. but it's a song called Lovely by Billie Eilish and Kid La. I don't know, I'm not young and I'm not like up with, I don't really know any current singers other than Billie Eilish. But yeah, the song called Lovely, I've really loved that song, and I've been listening to a lot of her music while I've been writing these chapters. And another band that I really recently got back into, which I've also been listening to a lot while I've been writing, is Bones and Bones in the Cab, I believe is what they're called. A lot of their music is really like very, very like inspirational to me. I'm not the type of person who listens to music that doesn't have lyrics. Sometimes I do. I actually really love I believe her name is Lindsay Sterling. She also is a YouTuber. I think she started on YouTube. She's a violinist and a ballet dancer. I love her music. She is the reason why I fell in love with violins and the sound of it. And sometimes I do have a few of her songs on my inspirational playlist. So yeah, I just listen to a lot of random stuff. It's either some stuff is like no lyrics, some stuff is lyrics, some stuff is emotional, some stuff is in a different language. So yeah, I mean, I just listen to whatever I want while I'm writing, and sometimes when I am listening to the music, it does get me like pumped and wanting to write a certain scene. I'm like, oh my god, like this scene matches these lyrics so well. So it's a huge process, and it all comes together. And I haven't really like done a lot of artwork for, you know, like pinning stuff on Pinterest in a while on this stuff, because Pinterest, you will get into a rabbit hole if you're doing research. This is like, if you're writing a book, you will go into a rabbit hole. Don't go into the rabbit hole, because I did it with Pinterest, and Pinterest is a rabbit hole, okay? So there were times where I was like, I am looking up so much research on Pinterest and on the internet that I'm not even writing my book. There's so many photos. And it's great to look at references and stuff like that and like think like, oh, like this is how I want so-and-so to look like, or like, you know, I want this scenery to look like this. Especially it's really helpful with like making scenes. There are a few images that I've found on Pinterest where I'm like, oh my god, I want that to be a scene in my book. But you can't keep doing research so much, because you just go into a rabbit hole and then you never actually write your book. So it's not very helpful. But yeah, after talking about this video, like talking in this video, I just want to work on my novel. And one last little like tidbit, I guess, and I can kind of like talk about it. And I'm not gonna say the actual name because for whatever reason I just don't want to say it. It's still my baby. I'm not revealing the gender to you all. No, I'm not ready to let go of my child just yet, but I am gonna say like what the initials of the name of the book is. I did have some really random names years ago, because I have thought about other books that I've wanted to write other than, no, I don't know where it is. But okay, so I'm not gonna say what the title is, but the title did go through a different, like a bunch of different names. I just didn't know what to choose. Names are really hard to come up with, even with book character names. They're so hard to come up with. There are half the times I'm like searching and I'm like, good names for boys, good names for girls. And then the funny part is that I have last names for a lot of my characters, and I'm like, good last names for characters, because sometimes it does come up within my series, within the book, it comes up their last names, and I'm just like, I need to find a last name. So I'm just like, Smith, that sounds good. Like, I probably came up with the most generic names in the world, but you know, it's not broke, don't fix it. Anyway, so the title has come through. I've come up with a bunch of different names. I think it was like 3 or 4 different ones, and if I can find the actual text somewhere, I might talk about it in the next video or something like that. I think originally I was gonna call it Bridge something, and I can't remember what it was gonna be called, but I can tell you the initials of what the title will be, and it's TNW. So come up with that, whatever words you want to come up for that, and it's just TNW. So yeah, TNW series. But yeah, for the most part, I'm really proud of coming up with that many words and 11 chapters and 70 pages. That's a lot. lots of concentration for me to do that, and I'm a very like you know, like I want to always be doing something different all the time, so this has been really helpful. And I mean, this is the best time to be doing this. You know, if you want to pick up a hobby, do it. I've been doing a lot of artwork. Well, another thing, I haven't been doing a lot of stuff because I've recently just moved, and I am going to start doing more artwork soon, and I'm taking an art class this summer, and now I'm going to be writing more. And you guys, I do want to film the process of me doing this art class because it's a painting class. I'm not a good painter, so you can get to see me fail at painting. But yeah, I mean, like, I really think that this is the world telling me that I need to start doing this. I need to start writing. Otherwise it's never gonna get finished. I'm not waiting another 7 years to publish this book. And it's funny because I have met authors who are like, oh yeah, like I wrote a book and it took me 10 years, and then this other book, it took me only 2. And I'm just like, okay, let's try not to like wait another 7 years to finish this novel. So technically it's only 6 years, but after this year it's gonna be 7. So let's aim for like another 1.5 years to try and get this like thing out of my head and onto paper and computer. So yeah, I'm really excited about this writing process and like all of this, and I really want to get started on doing all of this stuff and all this creative stuff. These past 2 videos, I feel like I've been very vulnerable in them, and I don't know how to feel because I'm not normally this open with people. But I feel like I'd rather not lose my mind in quarantine, and making YouTube videos kind of actually helps me relieve stress and anxiety, because earlier today I was just like thinking about like, I'm not gonna have a job, I'm gonna get fired, I'm not gonna have food. Today I was worried about wasting my eggs on breakfast. So tell me if you've like had those like weird realizations where you're just like, I'm gonna die, because I literally was scared about using my eggs today and making breakfast. So I was having a lot of anxiety today, but making these videos has really been helping me a lot. And now I'm gonna go off and write, which I haven't wrote in like a month or so. Yeah, in about like a month. I haven't wrote like personally for my own personal experience. And yeah, I mean, I've been very vulnerable, and I hope nobody like goes into the comments and is like, why are you doing this? Because what else am I gonna do? Stare at a wall for 5 minutes like I did a month ago when all this started? So yeah, I'm weird, and this is happening, and I'm writing a book. So been writing a book. So this is gonna happen, and I'm really excited about this. Yeah, I mean, I've been talking about this to my friends and my family members for like years, and every time they're like, hey, so have you like started working on it? And I'm just like, yeah, it's going. So it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen, and be prepared. So hopefully I'm gonna try and do more videos like this, and I don't know what I'm gonna talk about, because like a huge part of me doesn't want to talk about like spoilers or anything like that, and I don't know how to like talk about this, because at the same time it's also like I can't, like, if this does get published or if I do post it out into the real world, then you guys are gonna know what happens in the book, so then what's the point of you reading it? So I don't know, we'll figure it out. If you guys have any like ideas, please comment down below. If you have any questions or comments or ideas or like whatever, please comment them down below. I'm really tired and I'm probably gonna go and relax and maybe read a little bit and take all of this off and go re-dye my hair again. So yeah, but these 2 videos have been very relieving and I'm really happy that I made them. I'm just happy that I'm getting back in the swing of things and doing stuff that I love doing. So thank you guys so much for watching. You know, I haven't been posting very often and I do it infrequently, but I'm trying my best. I think we're all trying our best, and I think everybody should just, you know, try and, I know everybody keeps saying try and relax because like everybody's not relaxing, but like try and do something that like takes your mind off of stuff, because I know I've been really stressed out a lot about random things. And yeah, I mean, these videos help me. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to be doing more videos like this in the future. And if you guys want to see more videos like this or have any questions or like suggestions or anything like that, leave comments and subscribe. What else are you gonna do in quarantine? So yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I can't wait to see all you guys in the next video. Bye.